Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and we're going to be doing our Dragon Priest deck guide today, which is going to be a very, I wouldn't say the most interesting deck you're going to find on ladder, but it's definitely very popular right now. You're going to see a lot of it, and it's very, very strong in my opinion. It does very favorably versus a lot of the other classes that are currently out. It does very well against any aggro deck, it does fair against any mid-range deck, and it actually holds its own very well against control decks due to the fact that I've teched in quite a few cards to do that. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with our deck guides and kind of how the breakdown goes, we talk about the deck, we talk about the cards within the deck, why I have one of some cards, why I have two of other cards. From there, we'll go into the actual ranked games. We'll play on ladder a little bit. Roughly 3 to 4 games is what I try to get in there, depending on how long those matchups are. So if we play against another control deck, obviously we'll probably only do 3. But if we play against, 2 or 3 faster paced decks, we can get 4 easy games in there. And at the end, we'll talk about the deck maybe a little bit more, or anything in particular that had happened over the course of the 3 games that just during the deck guide now, we talk about it that we might have not been able to cover. So with that, let's head into the deck guide and actually talk about the cards. Obviously, Warshack Cleric being a staple in most priest decks. The 1-body 1/3 is very, very powerful against most aggressive base decks that on turn 1 they're either playing a 1/1, 2/1. Most of the stuff has roughly 1 HP. If it has 2, it only has 2 attack, which makes it so you can actually attack in with the Warshack, and then the following turn be able to heal the Warshack Cleric back to full health, killing the creature and drawing a card, which is really, really powerful. A lot of people actually subbed out the Warshack Clerics a long while ago, but they've made their way back in the deck, which I think at this point in time, due to the amount of 1 HP creatures we're seeing, it's very powerful right now. The Power Word Shield is your draw mechanic. It also works well with Chromacus if you happen to get him out of your Warshack or Netherspite Historian, which you could be like, that's crazy. The chances of getting Chromacus is low, but I guarantee you I've already done the combo, and maybe even in the games we play we can get a good Chromacus combo off where the Power Word Shield actually comes in clutch, so we can draw 2 cards right away. But either way, it allows you to make trades that you wouldn't otherwise be able to make, and it also allows you to draw a card. So it's very powerful, only costs 1 mana, and you'll find it very useful. It's not the most intricate card, so you don't set up these huge combos with it, but allows you to make those simplistic trades, like I mentioned before, that you normally wouldn't be able to keep your creatures alive and then be able to heal them back up. Your Twilight Whelp, whether you're playing this guy on turn 1 as a 2/3 body if you have another dragon in your hand, or you're just holding this guy in your hand as a dragon activator, it depends what stage in the game you are, right? So if you're very early in the game, playing this guy as a 1-drop 2/3, if you have Bran out, he gets the additional +2 HP, so it's actually a 2/5, very powerful, and you can definitely make some decent trades with him. But later in the game, you'll find that, having a 2/3 or a 2/5 on the board isn't that great, but having the dragon in your hand for the activator, for whether you're trying to get the Blackwing Corruptor off or the Draconoid Operative going, is very important, and you're not missing a whole lot by not playing this guy later on in the game, that is. So it all depends what stage you're in. Again, when we go into those particular matchups, I'll explain the Twilight Whelp in a bit more detail about why I am or am not playing him. The Historian, 2-drop, 1/3 battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a dragon. So you obviously need a dragon in your hand, which the Twilight Whelp can do. Also, if you have Bran out, you can create 2 dragons, and this is where your late game is going to come in, right? So if you're playing against a faster paced deck, the 1/3 is a solid body on board and can definitely kill at least 1 creature. You're getting a card from it, possibly 2 if you have Bran out, and it fills out your curve, right? If you don't happen to draw into any 3 or 4-drop or even 5-drop dragons, you're going to be able to discover those and be able to either fill out your curve. But if you're playing against maybe a control deck, you're going to be able to get yourself, a Chromacus, a Neff, another Ysera, a Deathwing. There's a lot of big tasty dragons out there that you're going to be able to flop down on the table and do some work with. So it kind of all depends who you're going against and what particularly you're missing in that matchup and you think you need to obtain. But comboing this with Bran in the control matchup is very powerful. The Shadow Word Death, of course, running 2 of these guys, and also the Shadow Word Pain, I'm sorry, but Shadow Word Death, basically the same thing. You run 1 of each. This is your small minion clear, but if you're doing a mirror matchup, which means you're playing against another priest or a similar deck, you're going to be able to kill, whether they're playing Bookworm, which is a 6-mana creature, they play another Twilight Guardian, which is a 4-mana creature, they spend 4 mana, you spend 2, you get a little bit of tempo there, and you're able to kill a creature. Otherwise, it would be a little bit more difficult to kill. So definitely, or if you're playing against a Pirate Warrior, Frothing Berserker, Totem Golem, Tunnel Trog, tons of huge targets with Shadow Word Pain. Very, very powerful card. You can't basically go without playing it. The Agents, it's not my favorite card, to be honest. It's one of my least favorite in the deck. The 2-drop, 1/4 Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and taunt. So obviously, if you're playing against an aggressive base deck or a mid-range deck, being able to put out something in the early game that has some form of either taunt and decent attack and decent health, you're able to Power Ward shield it, give it a little bit more of an oomph, and it may live for a couple turns and mitigate some damage over the course of the, a couple turns in the early game. But overall, it's an extremely dry draw later in the game. So this is kind of a card you're going to want to see early on. So you're not drawing him into the, really impactful turns like turn 5, 6, and 7, where you're really looking to play like an operative, get a Dragonfire Potion, an Entomb, or something like that. So not one of my favorite cards in the deck, but he's definitely a necessity due to the fact that Pirate Warrior and Pirate Shaman are a thing. They run a lot of weapons and a lot of aggressive based cards, and having taunts on the board are very important. Bran is definitely a staple in this deck due to the fact that almost every single card in the deck has Battle Cry besides Ysera. So just keep that in mind. Every single card in this deck is a Battle Cry. Besides, I would have to say Ysera and Northshire Cleric. You correct me there. And comboing Bran with the Operative and the Control matchup is huge. So if you can go like Bran, Operative, Netherspite, Historian, GG's, no rees. You got yourself a win there. The Cabal Talon Priest is basically the new, I don't remember the card. It was a 3-drop, 3/4. When it dies, give a creature +3 HP. But because this is a Battle Cry, it allows you to play it right away, and it doesn't actually die, which means if you have a creature already out, your opponent can't play around this card. So there's pros and cons of this card, but it's a very, very powerful. And being able to give a creature +3 health, especially if it's a taunt, you're going against an aggro deck, very powerful, and can definitely pull off a win right there. God, my ear itches, and I don't know why. That was kind of, no, anyway. All right, so sorry guys, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this, so my brain's not all there, but I definitely know how the deck works, so sorry about the small interruption. The Shadow Ward Death, like I mentioned with the Shadow Ward Pain, it allows you to deal with basically the larger creatures instead of the smaller creatures with the pain. I suppose I should move the mouse down to the card. And destroy a minion with 5 more attacks. They spend 5 or 6 mana plus on a creature like a Ragnaros. You're able to just deal with it pretty easily with the Shadow Ward Death. And if you can't deal with it with the Shadow Ward Death, like if it has Death Rattle, that's why I've kind of teched in the Entombs there, but we'll get into that in a second, why I've actually put 2 Entombs and 2 Dragonfire Potions into the deck. The Twilight Guardian is a staple basically in any dragon deck. I wouldn't say interesting. Just a standard dragon card, right? It's a 4-drop. If you're holding a dragon, it's a 3/6 with taunt. You can't really argue with the stats. And if you have if you have Bran out, it's a 4/6. So just fantastic. Corruptor, again, another staple in basically any dragon deck you're going to see, whether it's Priest, Warrior, I don't know how many dragon decks there are, but mostly it's found in Priest and Warrior. So if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. And he's a 5/4 body. You can't argue, makes favorable trades, and he has high attack. The Operative, though, is what makes this deck so very insane, right? So you've got the 5 mana, 5/6 Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a card in your opponent's deck. So when you're discovering a card in your opponent's deck, it's most likely going to be pretty good, right? Your opponent's not going to just throw in really shitty cards in their deck unless you're playing at like rank 20 and the opponent doesn't have all of the cards that they need to build the deck that they're playing at that point in time. But most of the time, this guy's going to pull a pretty good option for you, and the fact that it's Discover allows you to pick from the 3 cards it provides you. So depending on the situation you're in and what you're going to think you're going to need, you're going to get some pretty good choices. Along with, if you have Bran out, you get 2 picks. Plus, it's a 5/6 and it counts as a dragon. Card's absolutely insane, and really what makes this deck so powerful. In my opinion, this is like the MVP of this deck, besides Dragonfire Potion. But either way, this guy's an MVP. Holy Nova is your field clear. You can change this if you want to put in an Excavated Evil. That works as well. But since I figured that there's 2 Northshire Clerics in here, and there's a sizable amount of giving creatures an increased HP, that there's going to be some creatures on the board, you can make some favorable trades. You Holy Nova, heals them up, you draw some cards, you clear their board. Feels good. GG's, no reason. Dragonfire Potion, this is your oh shit button. Not a lot of decks have an oh shit button. Warriors have Brawl. Warlocks have Twisting Nether. This deck has Dragonfire Potion. Unfortunately, it doesn't deal more than 5 damage, but 5 damage is normally enough to kill any sort of aggro to mid-range decks. Mid-range deck you're gonna like go against. Plus the fact that there's 2 of them, half your deck is dragons anyway. So the worst case scenario, you play against another like Dragon Priest, right? And he has a bunch of dragons out and you draw into both Dragonfire Potions. It's gonna happen, it's gonna suck, but you just kind of have to ignore those matchups. But normally any other matchups, if you use the first Dragonfire Potion, your opponent's going to be like, oh my god, you know, there's no more Dragonfire Potions. That's the extent of the field clear from the Priest, and they're going to overextend once more. You Dragonfire Potion again, and they're going to be like, holy shit, this guy, he's next level. So there you go. That's why there's 2 Dragonfire Potions and 2 Holy Novas. So this is your coin on 4 when you're playing against aggro. This is your double Dragonfire when you're playing against control. The Entombs, though, however, are really interesting. This is because there's an increasing amount of kind of control decks we've seen on ladder. There is still a lot of aggro, but there's a lot of Jade Golem, which this does very, very well against, or this card performs really well against. And there's also a lot of Warrior, a lot of specifically Control Warrior and kind of Control Shaman. Not sure why. Someone must have been playing it. Some popular streamer must have been playing the deck. But either way, there's a sizable amount of players playing pretty greedy lists, and Entomb says if you're going to play a greedy list, I'm going to take full advantage of that. And the card's just fantastic. You cannot argue with this card. This card says I don't like what you have, but I want it, so I'm just going to take it. I'm going to put it in my deck, and I'm going to play it against you later. So that's why there's 2 of those. And then the Ysera is our super late game dragon if your Netherspite historians don't seem to do you justice and get the dragons that you need. But keep in mind, the reason the curve looks like this is we want a card basically to play every turn, whether you're summoning a creature or dealing with what your opponent has. And if you can call this a greedy deck because we're running 2 Dragonfires and 2 Entombs, but keep in mind that there's only 5 cards in the deck that cost more than 6 mana. That's not greedy. Like there's this deck curves out very well. You're gonna have a lot to do each turn most of the time, and it should perform quite well when we play it on ladder in just a second. So with that said, let's head into the games and I can kind of show you this deck in action and how powerful it really is. Alrighty, so heading into our first game here, we are going to be playing against that sweet Paladin, assuming he's going to be playing some form of buff Paladin or maybe an Anyfin Paladin. This is a hard matchup in my opinion due to the fact that he's a combo deck, and so we might just want to curve out the best as possible. The Historian is good because it allows us to get dragons on curve. The Twilight Guardian's just good as is, and the Agent's not really the best in my opinion against Paladin due to the fact that they have True Silver Champion and things of that nature, unless he's running aggressive Paladin, at which the Agent is actually a very strong card. But I'm not going to make that assumption. So I like the Historian on 2, the Guardian on 4, along with the Historian able to give us a dragon. We'll probably pick maybe a 6-drop dragon, so we can play the Guardian on curve and then just coin into the 6-drop on 5. That looks like the play. Playing the Whelp on 1 is pretty strong as well. Cannot really argue with a 1-drop 2/3, whether he's running the Control Paladin or the aggressive base Paladin. This feels pretty nice either way, right? It's a zombie chow without any drawback. Alright, so it looks like his turn 2 is solely just hero power. Let's see what we can get from here. I was looking for a 6-drop. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. The Dragon Sorcerer, however, in combination with the Power Ward Shield is a powerful combo. Chromacus, though, on top of Power Ward Shield is also a powerful combo. So it kind of depends what we want to go for. Do we want to go for the turn 4? Or maybe the turn 5 play with the Dragon Sorcerer, or wait till turn 4, Dragon Sorcerer, Power Ward Shield, gains +1/+1, makes the hefty creature. I think I'm going to go for the Chromacus. I'm a greedy player, so I think I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to go face because killing this 1/1 just doesn't really feel right for me right now. Or a 1/3 is going to be able to take care of that, no problem. So I'm actually going to hold these 2 together. Alright, so he's playing the Anyfin Paladin, so if we would have swung this guy into his 1/1, we would have done 2 damage less to face. So I like coining into the Guardian. Just keep the, basically keep the tempo rolling, and if he doesn't have the answers, we will win this game. So what he's looking for in this particular matchup when we build up the board is maybe an equality consecration. Please don't rip Tyrion or anything fucking astronomical. Rag is also bad. Ooh. Interesting card that you would have pulled from your guy. So we can go ahead and just go and play this. We'll trade there, and then we'll go face with there. There's no reason to attack this 3/4 because this 3/4 has to attack the dragon regardless. And unfortunately, we drew two of our big, like, this is the only giant card in our deck that's not being created through the Nether Spy Historian. So this is quite unfortunate that we had to draw into it right away. So it looks like he drew into the Grim Street Informant right after the Barnes pulled it out of his deck, which is kind of interesting. Unless he runs two of them. At that point, then he may not be running anything. He could be running some, like a buffing deck, at which he wouldn't be playing the Equality Wild Pyromancer unless he's teching them in just for field clear. Or he could be running a buffing anything deck that happens to run this card. It's kind of hard to say right now. A lot of people are trying a lot of new interesting decks, so unfortunately this is not one of those matchups that you're going to see a lot unless he is just running the anything with a teched in Grim Street Informant. But the chances of him pulling it from Barnes and then drawing it the direct turn after is pretty low. But we're just going to go ahead and just continue our assault onto the board, and we're just going to go face. Again, we're going to save the Power Word Shield with Chromacus, because there's not really a point to play the Power Word Shield now due to the fact that he has nothing on the board that we're really scared of him contesting, right? Unless he plays True Silver Champion, which he would have played a couple turns ago. But unfortunately, with playing the combo of the Chromacus Power Word Shield, we're giving up Ysera on 9. But this is still going to be a combo of cards he's going to have to deal with, and reducing his attack, which his deck normally does a lot with cards such as Aldor the Peacekeeper or Humility. Its effect is still going to trigger, and that's when it draws a card, it copies it, which will be able to easily outvalue him if this continues to live on the board, the same as Ysera. So I think it gave us another out. Because normally the game, like the late game is Ysera, but unfortunately the kill Ysera, it's kind of hard for this deck to really make a comeback. So here's the first equality dropping to the floor. It looks like he doesn't really have anything to combo with that. So he's going to be killing two of our big taunt dragons. Ooh, he's going to kill most of our board. So drawing in right now, the Operative's a great card to draw into. Another Historian to pick up a big dragon's great. Basically just any creature that allows us to either generate value or is just solid on its own. Norshire Cleric does not necessarily fill that slot. That's pretty unfortunate. So I suppose we play her on our own, and then do we attack the Blood Mage, or do we not attack the Blood Mage? I guess we do. There's not really a point not to. And at the same time, I want to Power Word Shield this just to draw, but I'm not going to do that because we're committed to the Chromacus play for the value. So he's played 2 Chargers this game. Alright, Ivory Knight is a little scary. Unfortunately, with this play, he's not going to hero power, and Ivory Knight is a direct competitor to Northshire, so we probably have to do something about this. But the problem is that the Ivory Knight is a 4/4 in this deck, has really hard time dealing with anything. It pulled a 6 mana, so I'm assuming, what is it called? Enter the Colosseum is most likely what that card is. This sucks. Like I was saying about the 4 tech minion, Shadow Word Pain, it's too high. Shadow Word Death, it's too low. It's like right in the median. Right in the middle.
Right away. Brilliant.
Can't even heal ourselves. And we can't even play Chromacus on 8. Like, we just haven't drawn into our Operatives, our Blackwing Corruptors. But it's alright, I suppose. Just have to wait one more turn for Chromacus and then Ysera. He's going to have a rough time unless he plays like Sylvanas. Then at which point we need to draw Entomb, which we run 2 of in the deck. So it's really, you know, so he has 5. So with 5, Solemn Vigil comes to mind. And then 6, he has the War or whatever it's called. It's kind of the highest attack minion lives. All right, so because we have 2 of the Dragon Elixirs in our deck, I might as well just use one now. There's no point to Blackwing Corruptor down that guy just to have him trade. That doesn't make sense. I don't like it. And the next turn's Chromacus Power Word Shield. And if we can get double Operative, that would be really important. Because then we can Operative like maybe a Tyrion into a Tyrion, and that's just GG's no Rees, or we get Sylvanas, or we can get maybe an Anyfin Can Happen, which is really important as well. So he does his Anyfin, then we do our Anyfin, and we just win the game. Unless they've changed anything, which I think they have, to make it so that Murlocs actually have to die on your side of the field, or was that War Leader where they only buff Murlocs on your side of the field? I have to read the card text when he plays it. I haven't played anything in quite some time now, so it's a little bit hard to say. Alright, so Tyrion's quite unfortunate. This actually makes me want to... Ooh. That was a super nice top deck. That feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Unfortunately, now the operative can't take the Tyrion because the Tyrion's in our deck. So now the choice is, do we Chromacus or do we Ysera? I actually like the Ysera. Because the Ysera can generate another Power Word Shield, which can give us another Chromacus. Oh no, I'm fucking retarded. I'm combining Chromacus with Ysera. I am mad. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Changing minions health to 1. That feels pretty bad. And Ysera gave us one of the worst cards. What did he get this? From Grim Street Informant. That feels terrible. So she generated one of the worst cards you could get from the Ysera. So if we go Chromacus into Power World, or yeah, it should be fine. We're not going to overdraw. And I highly doubt he has another single target removal. 2 Talon Priests. That's one of the worst cards we could have gotten. This is probably the least impactful card. I guess the dragon, right? Young Dragon would have been bad. The 2/4 taunt would have been bad, but everything else in our deck would have been okay. Even Dragonfire Potion. This doesn't look good. Alright, this is fine. We're gonna get to draw again. We can easily kill that card with our Shadow Word Death. So we're gonna get quite a few cards from it, which feels pretty nice. Alright, let's get 2 more cards. Shadow Word Pain, not the worst, not the best. So we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, we're gonna kill this. We have no dragons in our hands, so that doesn't feel that great. So I guess we're just gonna play as many cards as we can without going kind of overboard. Go face for 6. There's no point to trade into that 1/1. And 12 HP is a lot for this paladin to deal with. He basically has to draw his second equality, which means if he does draw the equality, then maybe we should have attacked the 1/1 because now he can equality and then attack the 6/12. Instead, before he had to have like a weapon or something like that, but it doesn't look like he had that specific combination. Because he played this, we can go double Holy Nova and get rid of both of these, and he doesn't actually pull the Murlocs out of his deck in case he has the Anyfin in his hand, which makes it so he can't OTK us in the next 3 or 4 turns. So it's actually really important that the Holy Nova is there.
Let me think.
Feels good. And I don't think we're going to develop anything more onto the board. Definitely need to draw into an operative or another corruptor. We need to get some value in here. We need a dragon. Like if this would have copied just Sarah or something. If this copies another good card is another Spite Historian, but unfortunately won't be able to get a dragon just yet. But anything that generates more and more value is greatly welcomed here. And there's no way we're pushing lethal, so Tyrion would be another good card it could pull. Him attacking that signifies he does have a consecration in his hand. Alright, Dragonfire Potion's not the worst thing, so we'll go double Holy Nova. Just to get rid of this guy. And then we go face. And then we have lethal next turn. So he has 1 more turn to draw what he needs to succeed, and this is exactly why I pulled the Chromacus. This is like basically infinite value. Even though we're not exactly ahead on board or in the cards or have made the best trades, this card says I really don't care. I'm just going to keep drawing 2 every turn. And we're forcing him to have the outs. Before he got the Hunter's Mark from the Informant. Now we're forcing him to have the second equality in his deck, which would have been the only other card in his deck that gets rid of that. Because he's pulling this from the left, this is not going to be equality, or you've played it already, so the only other thing that he could have would be the, what is it called? Enter the Arena, I believe the card is called. So it's the only card it's going to live is the 6/13, and then from there it costs 6 mana. So I see maybe a True Silver if he has it, but I don't think he has it, or you've played it again earlier to kill the 3/4. So probably a heal onto face for 20 is exactly what we're going to see here, putting him at 28, allowing him to live an additional turn. There is the operative, what we've been looking for this entire time. We do have a dragon in our hand because the operative is an effect. So do we go with the operative? And I don't think we do. We have a lot of cards down, so I suppose we're just going to go with this. And I believe we have 8 cards in our hand. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're not going to go overboard. And again, we're going to be pushing lethal over the next 2 turns. So, again, putting him back on the timer. Maybe the operative would have been a little bit better there, but the operative generates a card and the Chromacus generates a card. So we actually would have overdrawed, nullifying the effects of the Chromacus. So there's the end of the Colosseum, which I had kind of made the assumption that he had prior. Which is a little scary because now this gives him more time to get what he needs to succeed, but him playing cards like this is pretty good because we have 3 Shadow Word fucking Pains in our hand. It's about time that we got the Tyrion. So I guess we're just going to pain this. We can pain this. Now we actually can operative, and I don't think we're gonna overdraw. I think equality may be the best play, but unfortunately we already have a good amount of field clear, so maybe the informant, because the informant can actually generate cards. But I'm pretty sure this game is over. Like, the amount of value our hand has, double Tyrion, double Dragonfire, 2 operatives. Like, he has to draw into either, he has to kill us this turn, or he has to, again, heal himself back up, or he has to kill our board. But Tyrion into Tyrion is pretty brutal. I don't care what deck you are, unless you're playing against another priest and they can double entomb. Tyrion into Tyrion is pretty brutal. So is the Anyfin for the double chargers. But that's really not going to do much because it doesn't really stop anything. So there's the Kansamida on the floor. Interesting deck he has. So he teched in the Grim Street Informant. So as you saw, we played that. We had when we played the Nether Spite Historian, we had a game plan the second it came out, and we won because of that. So just keep in mind, setting up plans for the future, even if it's extremely slow, you kind of have to do that versus other control classes. All right, so our second matchup is going to be another warrior named Ness. All right, so this guy is actually really good. I'm assuming he's either running the dragon variation or he's going to be running the pirate variation. So we're trying to pull an early game curve as soon as possible. So I don't really like any of those cards. This is pretty fucking bad. I'll keep this in here. Maybe, depending on how the game goes, but this is not a great opening hand. This is probably one of the worst hands we could have gotten. Shadow Word Death doesn't do anything. If that was a pain, I would say it's decent, but it's not. Drawing into a dragon's actually really nice, though. So if he's playing Pirate, this is huge, unless he can just play War Axe. If he plays, okay, so he just Hero Powers, which makes me think he's playing Control Warrior, which is a little scary. By a little scary, I mean it's pretty scary. So now the choice is, do we Power Word Shield this? And I think the answer is yes. And we're not going to play the Cleric until this takes damage. We want to at least draw 1 card from her. Okay. So it looks like we're playing against a Control Warrior. I don't want to play the Cleric yet. Coining into the Guardian, we don't have another dragon, so that's not an option. And him drawing cards is also not the worst thing in the world. Alright, looks like it's going to get executed. Alright, so he's playing N'Zoth, the N'Zoth Warrior, which means we need to draw into our Entombs, which 1 Entomb is already good. Unfortunately, we haven't drawn into another dragon, so this is actually quite bad. Drawing into dragons is very important. And also saving Dragonfire Potion for whenever he N'Zoths is very important. So we're going to Entomb basically Baron, whatever his name is, and not Baron, Karen Bloodhoof, and then probably, if he has another big Death Rattle, we'll take care of that like a Sylvanas, unless we can Shadow Word Death it easily. But for this particular turn, I don't really see a great play. We could drop the Gnorshare Cleric and draw, but again, I really just don't like drawing in this particular matchup. Plus, he's going to be able to make the trade into it, and then he's going to be able to Ravaging Ghoul to be able to kill the Cleric pretty easily. But is there a better play available to us? Not really.
Is someone injured?
Okay, the Operative is the first good thing we've drawn. I'm assuming he doesn't have any healing to his deck. That would be pretty bad. If we were playing against another priest, I would have never done this because they could make us overdraw, but because he's playing a warrior, we're not really scared of that. Misplay. Yeah, drawing is bad, like I said, but again, I want to draw into our entombs. Drawing the... Psych, fuck, get out of here, man. Alright, so him using a bash on it, that's pretty good for us. Him trading into that is good. This whelp has gotten a sizable amount of value this game, so I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, he didn't trade into it. Okay, that makes sense for him. Using the coin is not also the worst thing because we don't run Elise unless we can actually entomb Elise if he runs it. Then the coin can actually be used as a legendary. So it all depends how late do we want this game to going. So normally we could go like Twilight Guardian, heal this. It goes down to 4 and then he could attack and then Ravaging Ghoul. Or if we just do this, his turn 6 is either going to be an Emperor. At that point we would probably just Shadow Word Death it. Or he could be playing the... Sylvanas, then we'd actually be forced to entomb it because we wouldn't want to give him the whelp. So, because I would almost rather just go ahead and Shadow Word Death the Sylvanas because then when he plays N'Zoth, the Dragonfire Potion kills it, and I don't plan to have a sizable board at that point. So it all depends kind of what we do and do not want to play into. I really don't mind using the coin here though. It gives us a pretty sizable leave. Actually, this was not so good because now we don't have a dragon for the operative, but I'm going to make the assumption we'll draw one soon. So if I could redo this turn, I actually did make a mistake. I'd rather just heal him, not use coin, and then just play the operative next turn and make the easy trade with the whelp and force them to deal with it. So there's the Sylvanas like we just said. So now, like I said the turn before, we're forced to either entomb it or Shadow Word Death it. And like I said, if we would have only just kept the whelp out, we could have easily just traded the whelp, Shadow Word Death, and then gone for the Dragonfire. But because he played it in this particular fashion, we actually have to entomb it because I do not want to give him the dragon at all. The dragon at all. So now our play is to make sure we draw into the next entomb. That card is not the best card that we could have seen come out. It's kind of scary. So we know due to the fact that he's playing N'Zoth Warrior, he's running double Brawl. Using Shadow Word Death on a 3/6 feels incredibly bad. Using Holy Nova does not feel so bad. So we actually could just go with the Talon Priest, bring this up to, well, this will give it 3. Then it would be at, can you stop fucking talking? Thank you very much. 3. We put to 7, then it would go to 1. I don't really like that play at all.
You wish to live forever?
I don't really mind if he brawls a board like this because there's 2 good picks. Obviously the Twilight Guardian being the best pick, and we're not going to develop any more onto this board. This is the extent. So I'm just gonna hope he doesn't have a brawl right now. Ragnar's is fine. We Shadow Word Death that. So as long as it doesn't hit the 3/5, that's fine. So we Shadow Word Death that easy. We heal this guy up and we go face. Him getting the tank up this early though was pretty bad, but it'll be interesting, right? It'll be interesting. Gorehowl, this sucks. Rip Dragon, you will be forever missed. So we can draw into another dragon. It's not the worst thing. This can get some value. Nether Spite Historian. So this actually, we can brand Nether. Well, it depends. This is all 10 mana. So we can like brand Nether Spite Historian and then Operative all in the same turn. I'd much rather do that. But that's a lot of, it's a lot of dragons, right? That almost overdraws us. No, do we even do that? Because this is going to be 2, and that's 2, and then we draw 1, which is 5 cards. It's too many cards.
Once upon a time.
That's good. Harrison's good. Okay. The reason I did this is because Bran would draw too many cards, and we already have another Historian in the deck. Okay, so we're going to Shadow Word Death and then Harrison. We're slowly but surely outvaluing this guy. It's a rocky road, folks, but we're slowly getting there. Now we know he also plays Harrison, but that doesn't really change our game plan whatsoever. Double Entomb in this particular matchup is really important. So if he doesn't play Elise, we have a good chance to win. If he does play Elise after the N'Zoth, it's gonna be rough. There's the second bash. So we now have to deal with this 3/3, which can easily be dealt with our Corruptor. And again, we're gonna hold the operative for the Bran, so we can get a lot of value out of there. We're gonna go face, and then we're actually going to heal up this guy. Not gonna use the shield because our second Nether Spite can actually give us a Chromacus again, which then we would want to shield that to draw an additional card. Again, kind of thinking way out there, guys, but with this particular matchup, we've got to think out there. All right, so he's playing the 1/1 that's going to turn into a 5/5. I don't have a fantastic way to deal with that card right now. Obviously, we could trade, but that doesn't feel good. He's got a lot of armor, which we have to start nicking down kind of slowly but surely. So I think in this, nothing really looks that great here. We could draw. How many is it? 12 to 12. Drawing is not an option. So we're just going to go face. Try to nick down some of that armor. Shadow Priest would be really good right here. Shadow Word painting the 2/6, obviously a solid play. Makes the trade, pops the dude. There's one execute, so we've seen one execute, no shield slams, and he has one left. So here again is the Bran Historian Operative. There's a lot of things. That's 5 cards, which means we have to have a pretty slim hand. There's no way we do that right now. So I'm not sure what the best play is here. I mean, he's down to 5 cards in his hand. So we can either just play the Nether, which I think is the better play right now. So there's really not going to be a time or we're gonna only have 5 cards on our hand, and saving Bran for that point, I don't think it's worth it, but we could. So I don't know. We'll wait one more turn because we actually can Dragonfire, but maybe not playing this was a mistake. So he's gonna tank up, make trade, and that's it. He's just gonna keep rebuilding. All right. I see you. I see you. All right. I think operative again. Probably Karen. It's the best value card that we could have generated. All right, and then we have how many cards in our hand? We've got 5 right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we actually have to play a card. I guess I'll play the least value card, because if we play the most value card, a Brawl is going to come down. So the Cleric means nothing in this particular matchup. Okay, so we've used both our Historians, which means Bran into Operative is very important. We also can note that this guy is still in the Warriors deck. Oh my gosh. Rob has turned on his ultimate thinking Shack 1 a.m. Gotta beat Control Warrior, N'Zoth Control Warrior with his Dragon Priest deck. Might see the Shield Slam. Alright, so he's 1 execute, 1 Shield Slam left. He's going face. Okay. Blackwing Corruptor, very solid draw, so we can go ahead and take that out. I'm gonna kill off that guy because we don't need her, and we're just gonna heal ourselves. And we're gonna continuously, we can actually Talon Priest this, and then he doesn't. That gives him an easy Brawl. We don't want to give him an easy Brawl. We're gonna hold Talon Priest for Karen, so we're gonna Talon Priest Karen. That's gonna be the best option. It's the most annoying option. This is really good. This is really, really good for us. I don't know why he's choosing to draw like this, but I have no problems with it. Him fatiguing quicker than us is okie dokie. So because he played one Armor Smith, it tells me he probably is running another one, which means I'm not going to Shadow Word Pain this 3/3, as enticing as it looks. What I like here is healing this, attacking, and then Holy Noving, and then that brings that card down to 1, and then we can easily just be able to agent. So he actually has to draw 2, and that's going to give us quite a bit of a heads up on fatigue. Okay, so we're now 4 cards up in fatigue, which feels really nice. Oh my god, if we beat Ness, this is insane. This is not, I don't think the Dragon Priest is a particularly favorable matchup in this situation here. So this is definitely a card we're gonna wanna find the second Entomb for. Like I said at the beginning of the game, we wanna Entomb this guy. We don't want his N'Zoth being able to bring back this Karen. All right, so we have 2 operatives now. So I think this is the place where we play Karen, Talon Priest. Are we operative and we look for something? But I don't think that's the best play here. What would we find? I mean, there's a good chance that if we shadow the shield, we'll be able to actually generate the Entomb. I think this is by far the strongest play, but I don't think it's the best. So maybe the operative is the better choice, because then we can brand into operatives, force them to use another thing on there. If he doesn't, we just even get any more value. And he has 4 cards left, so I suppose we have to use this now, right? Not really sure. Yeah, this has 5. We have to use this now. We go for Warshack or the Infested Tarn. I think we can go for the Infested Tarn. It's the most annoying out of all of them. Because the operative can give us N'Zoth, and that's also not a bad target along with Karen, unless N'Zoth is in his hand. So there's the second shield slam, so he has 1 more execute. Again, Entomb still can draw it to Entomb this. And at that point, he will only have 1 taunt card. Sylvanas. So unfortunately, Sylvanas doesn't take his card. We don't have a dragon in our hand either. We still have Ysera in the deck. We need to keep that in mind. So I don't think we Talon Priest yet. He hasn't even used a single brawl. I do not want to kill that. Again, we're getting close to the Entomb. This is a hard one, boys. This is a hard one. This is what's gonna reflect the rest of basically the rest of the game. It's gonna be the next couple turns. So double trade Karen Cabal, I suppose. It's just very annoying for him to deal with, basically. He's going to want to attack and then maybe execute. He's already used Hellscream. The only card he hasn't used again is N'Zoth. And it's going to bring back the second 4/5 and then the 1/1. This is, again, not the worst thing in the world, because now we're going to be able to do some big things here. So, with that, we can swing. We can swing. But we almost want to Shadow Word Pain. Yeah. Or we could also, yeah, Pain is probably the best choice because we have to Dragonfire. Doesn't really matter which one we Pain, right? Alright, so his win condition is now gone unless he plays Elise, and we're pretty far up in fatigue. So I think we're going to be okay. So now he's going to go super wide on the board. This is totally okay because we have another Dragonfire potion. Alright, so I really don't mind just dropping another Dragonfire here. Or we could just make it really annoying with the Sylvanas. Sylvanas doesn't... We're going to take a sizable amount of damage if we Sylvanas, so I think we're just going to do this. Just heal ourselves back up. Now if he plays an annoying card, we can just deal with it with Entomb. So if he plays like Elise, we can just Entomb it. And if he doesn't do anything, we just use Sarah, but he still has an Execute left. So we have to keep that in mind. So now I think if we brand Operative, it doesn't do anything. So we actually waited way too long on that combo of cards. So he's going to play the War Axe. So going ahead and developing the Guardian isn't the worst thing here. So we could actually just go, well, he has two brawls left. So we're actually not going to do any of that. We're just going to play one card at a time. Oh my god, guys, this is one long ass matchup. So we know he has a Execute. We know he has a Brawl. So he's gonna take 1 damage at a time here. So maybe playing like an Operative was the best choice there. That's what I thought. Holy fucking mackerel, folks, that was huge. Ness, I don't know if you know, but he played I don't think it was at the World Champs, but it was definitely one of those qualifiers that he made it to top 8 in. So he's definitely a very, very good player. Very, very good. All right, so heading into our third matchup, we're going to be playing against another priest. All right, so we've had a broad spectrum of classes we're going to be playing against. Hopefully we can pull a win in all of the 3. I'd be very happy if we did. I think it's okay to keep the Twilight Whelp. So we kept 3 cards. It's very scary. That is actually very, very scary. So of course a 1-drop 2/3 on turn 1 feels semi-nice. I don't really like the matchup at all. The mirror matchup in this at all, to be honest. But that's just me. So I suppose if we attack and heal it, it's the same shit as just playing the shield, right? But we give him a favorable heal with the Warshack. Actually, he can't. Actually, he can. Warshack Cleric coin heal would be really bad. That's the worst thing that could happen. That would be really bad. So he's just going to choose to heal it. Makes sense. And then probably go face. Okay. So we know he's playing dragons. So I suppose we're going to draw first. We're not going to Shadow Word Pain because it actually doesn't do anything for us whatsoever. Due to the fact that he has the Twilight Guardians, which we need to Shadow Word Pain, and the Bookworm. So as good as this looks, we can't Shadow Word Pain that. So it looks like he's going to shield it. If he shields it, if he makes this guy big, then it's actually okay. So now Shadow Word Pain actually makes sense because this guy is pretty annoying at this point in time. But I think I'm still going to hold back on doing it. We could Shadow Word Pain this 3/4 and then swing, but again, that still doesn't feel very good. He's going on turn 4, but he can still coin into the Corruptor and then make trade, and then this dies, but then we're going to be able to get a favorable Holy Nova. So I think we're going to go this, and we're still going to trade into there. So now we're forcing him to either heal, Corruptor. There's not a lot of good things here. So he's going to choose to Shadow Word Pain him. He got it right off the fucking top. Now he can get the easy trade with the 3/4. Oh my god. I was hoping he didn't have a Shadow Word Pain off the top, but unfortunately, he ripped what he needed to do. He needed to draw that, and he got it.
Are you mocking me?
Okay. So he's playing very heavily into Dragonfire Potion right now, which I'm not really sure why he's doing that, but regardless, we're going to play the Operative because it contests everything he's got on the board. This is a hard one. So he's playing Inner Fire, which is very interesting, so we have to watch out for that. Power Word Shield's going to be slightly annoying for him to deal with, and Dragonfire Potion's really good right now based on his current board state. So I'm actually going to take the Dragonfire Potion because of the fact that we don't first of all, we don't have one, and if he has Shadow Word Death and he doesn't deal with the board, like this then we can just easily Dragonfire Potion. Everything here dies, and we've gained back everything we've basically lost. But normally I would never pick Dragonfire Potion against another Dragon Priest, but because he hasn't any dragons on the board at that time, and the fact that him having Shadow Word Death is extremely high, I chose it. So we're actually going to entomb his operative, because that's most likely going to be one of the biggest cards in the deck, and we also don't have a Shadow Word Death in our hand. And he chose that extremely quick, which makes me think it was a pretty good card. So it's 18 to 20. We're winning fatigue, but I don't think this match is going to go on that long. So Bran into probably the Dragon Creator. So we're going to Shadow Word Pain that Bran. And if we can draw into a dragon, then we operative. He picked those extremely quick as well, so obviously one of them's an operative, and the other one's probably either Ysera or Alexstrasza. Oh my god, this matchup. You're killing me right now, game. You're killing me. We had a huge advantage until Bran into doubled create dragon, and then his operative pick gave him a good pick too, so I wouldn't even leave it out if two more operatives come down, which would be pretty scary. So there's another operative. This pick is taking a little bit longer, so it's probably Power Word Shield, Dragonfire Potion, and maybe a 2/4 with Taunt. And he chose the Dragonfire Potion. I'm just spitballing here, guys. It just comes to me in waves. Like, whether or not that's what he got or not, I have no fucking clue. But I just feel like that is I don't know. We're going to make the really easy trade here. We're going to heal this up. And playing this dragon, we're not going to do that because we need operative for it to proc and the agent as well. So we're probably just, this is going to be the dragon that just sits in our hand. He's basically just a gopher. Okay, so this is what we Shadow Word Pain. For sure. Got an easy trade there. And we're going to heal our guy back up. So we're slowly but surely, again, guys, we're gaining that sweet value. Make this trade. We heal him up. We could play the agent, but I believe he's got Dragonfire Potion. And if he had Shadow Word Death, he would have already used it. So I guess we could bait the Dragonfire Potion. He's going to have an empty board, and then we can go ahead and Bran into the operative. So I expect a Dragonfire Potion here. Oh, Corruptor. That feels pretty bad as well. Whelp. Okay. Alright, so this is pretty interesting. So we could go Talon Priest, swing, Holy Nova, heal. It's fairly annoying. Or we go Bran into operative, and then this goes face. That's probably the most powerful play, right? Bran operative face. Because then this soaks this. And he Dragonfires. This is still going to live, but he's going to want to pass that, but he can't. We can even... No. But the Talon Priest Holy Nova feels not too bad either. But I think this is the best for the current state. Definitely another operative. Probably another operative, right? And because of how quickly I picked those, he can probably guarantee that they were both operatives. So this is basically an operative party. So if he doesn't run in tombs, we've won this. So Shadow Word Death is quite annoying. He's going to make trade, but then we're just going to play another operative. He has to be able to kill this. Yeah, okay. I was about to say, he has to have some form of kill there. All right, so we're going to operative first. Oh my god. We're just going to win this based off value. There's no way you can keep up with this amount of operatives. They just keep creating cards plus their 5/6s. Again, this is where Entomb is like a necessary... Oh, Northshire Cleric is definitely... Oh my god, this is a way out. Unfortunately, we don't have any way to deal 3 damage to anything, which is really bad. So we need a Dragonfire Potion. Corruptor, and then make the trade. Jeez Louise, that was pretty good. Alright, Dragonfire Potion. Alright. Still back in this. Holy shit, boys. This is a crazy matchup right now. This is going back and forth. So right now he was gonna want to we probably should have not picked it as quickly, right? Because now he can probably make the, oh my god, he's gonna draw fucking 4 cards now. You gotta be kidding me. No, we lost. All right, so we need to draw Entomb or Shadow Ward Death. Shadow Ward Death is the best card we could draw. Another operative. Give me a Shadow Ward Death. Shield is not the worst card. Historian is not the worst card. Oh my god. Did he overdraw? Nope, but this was a fuck ton of value, folks. He just drew so many cards. He just 6 more cards from the oh my god. So unfortunate. Maximum unfortunate. At least we can kill this next turn, but it's already too late. Like, we already got so fucked by Chromacus. And he's gonna draw 2 more cards. Life's hard. Oh my god, we're gonna see like a Twilight Guardian fucking parade. So, we know that's happening. I suppose this is happening. And at this point, him drawing cards is like, he's gonna overdraw.
My hand is full.
But that's probably the best card he could have ever overdrew. Good news is he only has 4 cards left in his deck, so maybe, I don't know. Deathwing is not the worst thing that could happen to us right now, because he's gonna go fucking super wide on the board right now. He's gonna go fucking super balls deep with fucking Twilight Guardians. Like, this is Twilight Guardians' time to shine. Inner Fire, okay, makes trade. This 5/4 is definitely not living. We already used the double Nova. Oh my god, he's even healing it to draw an additional. What is this guy thinking? You know I'm gonna make you mill cards if you don't play more cards. He's gonna go wide. You have to go wide. Historian to generate, that's still okay, because you're oh my god. Must be either a really hard pick or an easy pick because of how long he's taking. I'm assuming that's a Ysera, another Chromacus. There's a Guardian. How many cards? 9 cards in his hand. Okay. So do we want this to die? Shadow Ward. Eh. Let's see what dragon we generate first. Chill Maul's not terrible. I want to keep this if he plays one big dragon, but we still have another Entomb in the deck, and I want to keep our dude alive, but I don't think that's an option here.
I wonder.
Death to the pretender.
Mill something good. Not too terrible. All right, so as long as we can, if we can draw our Entombs or other decent cards, we're gonna be able to. So that's one Shadow Word Pain. This probably has another one. We're still at 17 life, so we're still in it. He has another, I believe, Blackwing Corruptor, which dies to the dragon, and so does the. What the fuck? Oh, we might have just lost.
Well played.
Yep. We lost to shenanigans. I'd basically leave this up to the Chromacus play. Like, he couldn't have gotten any more lucky, honestly, with that Chromacus double Northshire Cleric play. I mean, he set it up, but like, who's to say we wouldn't have been able to kill those Northshires, right? Like, the amount of Dragonfire potions that we could have gotten was like absurd, right? So like, going for that particular play was extremely greedy. paid off in the end because we didn't, first of all, have a Shadow War Death to deal with it, or an Entomb, which we played 2 of both, and we were more than halfway through our deck, and we had only played 1 at the time. But either way, I think we were definitely favored, and there's only maybe 1 or 2 plays that would have changed, but either way, it wasn't too bad. Anyway, guys, though, hopefully you enjoyed the deck guide. Sorry we couldn't win them all, but we definitely we won the ones that counted and lost the ones that really didn't matter, in my opinion. And hopefully you learned about the deck and kind of how to play it and the intricacies of what to really look for in those particular matchups. But again, unfortunately, you can't win them all, but you got to see kind of how the mirror matchup wants to work. You want to go for the particular value, get your opponent down to those few select cards, which we did, but then he had that huge comeback, which was unfortunate. But the next game was how to play against another control deck besides the Mirror Priest, and then before that we were easily able to take out the deck before that, which I don't even fucking remember, to be honest. It is 1:20 a.m. We're donezo. So I'll catch you guys in the next deck guide, of course, and Warshack and happy whatever the hell day it is.